Good evening. I greet you from Fitzwilliam College Chapel, a place for all members of college, where we mark this evening Holocaust Memorial Day to remember the 6 million Jews murdered during the Holocaust, alongside the millions of other people killed under Nazi persecution and in subsequent genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia, and Darfur. The Holocaust threatened the fabric of civilization, and genocide must still be resisted every day. Our world often feels fragile and vulnerable. We cannot be complacent. Even in our own country and community, prejudice and the language of hatred must be challenged by all. The theme for Holocaust Memorial Day this year is Be the Light in the Darkness. It encourages everyone to reflect on the depths humanity can sink to, but also the ways individuals and communities resisted that darkness to be the light before, during, and after genocide. Be the light in the darkness is an affirmation and a call to action for everyone marking Holocaust Memorial Day. We can all stand in solidarity. We can all choose to be the light in the darkness. We now watch a 2-minute presentation to remind ourselves of the horrors which we remember today. The presentation features images which, while not graphically depicting violence, may nevertheless be disturbing. Fitzwilliam College Life Fellow Barry Landry now shares a personal connection to the Holocaust, and in doing so reminds us that the Holocaust is still recent history with effects in living memory.
Well, good evening, everybody. I'm Barry Landry. I'm a Life Fellow at Fitzwilliam College. I've been here for more years than I care to remember, and your chaplain Graham has asked me to make a contribution to your Holocaust Memorial Day celebration. And what occurred to me was that for a long time, I didn't think I had any members of my extended family who'd been lost in the Holocaust. All my grandparents came from Europe. They all came end of 19th, early 20th century. So any family I had that were left behind were remote cousins, and I didn't think there was any connection until, out of the blue, someone that we knew in Israel sent us a photograph. And this is the photograph. Here it is. It's a family photograph. It was taken in 1929, so well before the war, in Poland. And in the photograph, I'll show it once more, seated on the bottom left is my grandfather, next to him my mother, and next to her, somebody we knew but not in that context. And my mother then told us the story, which she hadn't ever told us before, that they went in 1929 to Poland. My grandfather, her father, took her to see the family that's been left behind, her cousins. And all the other people in this photo are cousins of one sort or another. And the person she's sitting next to, she's holding hands with, which we raised our eyebrows about because we didn't know about him before. And she said, oh yes, she said, I was engaged to him. So my grandfather had taken her there, I think, with the intention that she might get engaged to one of her cousins. The person she was engaged to, my grandfather persuaded to leave Poland. He tried to persuade all the others to leave, and they didn't. So all the people in that photograph, except for the three I mentioned, died in the Holocaust. So that was the first time I knew that I had lost relatively close family in the Holocaust. And at the time, it did strike quite a strong chord, because after the war, when I was a youngster, I saw the newsreels and I knew about the Holocaust and I read about everything and I knew about it, but that was intellectual. And there's an enormous difference between knowing something intellectually and knowing something personally and having a feeling for it. So that's what I wanted to share with you today on this Holocaust Memorial Day.
We now come to the point where we light a candle, and I invite you all to light a candle wherever you are. We light each candle in memory of all those who were murdered in the Holocaust, under Nazi persecution and in the genocides in Cambodia, Rwanda, Bosnia and Darfur. We remember them. While we light our candles, we'll hear Fitzwilliam second-year undergraduate Rebecca Severy play a Jewish song by Ernest Bloch. And once this piece is finished, we'll keep a minute of silence.
We recognise that the Holocaust
theme, Be the Light in the Darkness, reminds us that we each have a duty to stand up for freedom, justice, equality, and the power of love over hatred. We are aware that in our day, atrocities and rights abuses continue. Recently, Marie van der Zyl, President of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, wrote to the Prime Minister saying, as a community, we are always extremely hesitant to consider comparisons with the Holocaust. But she noted that violations of the Uyghurs' human rights were shaping up to be the most serious outrage of our time. What would it mean to be a light for the Uyghur people? Or in Myanmar, what would it mean to be a light for Rohingya Muslims? Holocaust Memorial Day was created on 27th January 2000 when representatives from 46 governments around the world met in Stockholm to discuss Holocaust education, remembrance and research. At the end of the meeting, all attendees signed a declaration committing to preserving the memory of those who were murdered in the Holocaust and in the subsequent genocides. We'll now hear the statement of commitment, which was adapted from the declaration to affirm our support for Holocaust remembrance and ensure that these horrors are never forgotten.
We recognise that the Holocaust shook the foundations of modern civilization. Its unprecedented character and horror will always hold universal meaning.
We believe the Holocaust must have a permanent place in our nation's collective memory. We honour the survivors still with us and reaffirm our shared goals of mutual understanding and justice.
We must make sure the future generations understand the causes of the Holocaust and reflect upon its consequences. We vow to remember all the victims of Nazi persecution and of all genocides.
We value the sacrifices of those who have risked their lives to protect or rescue victims, as a touchstone of the human capacity for good in the face of evil.
We recognise that humanity is still scarred by the belief that race, religion, disability or sexuality makes some people's lives worth less than others. Genocide, anti-Semitism, racism, xenophobia and discrimination still continue. We have a shared responsibility to fight all of those evils.
We pledge to strengthen our efforts to promote education and research about the Holocaust and other genocides. We will do our utmost to make sure that the lessons of such events are fully learned.
We will continue to encourage Holocaust remembrance by holding an annual Holocaust Memorial Day. We condemn the evils of prejudice, discrimination and racism. We value a free, respectful and democratic society.
Holocaust Memorial Day presents an opportunity when people from all backgrounds come together to learn from the past and create a better future. It serves as a reminder that all of us not only have the ability to resist the forces of hatred, we have a responsibility to do so. I will close by sharing the words of Holocaust survivor Gena Turgel, MBE, who sadly passed away in 2018. Gena said, "We will continue to do our bit for as long as we can, secure in the knowledge that others will continue to light a candle long after us." Thank you for joining us.